when I started, nobody wanted to believe me. When I drive, I have to look around. You know,
Sure.
you
That's
sort of
your
like,
life now. You like
who's coming
is
around
following
me?
me.
And I remember the conversation I had with God. God said, Solomon, are you ready to die for the truth?
Was it worth the risk? And what did you have to endure?
Was it worth the risk? Very much. I spent almost $1 million
What?
fighting false prophets. Because of that, his people came to my church, to my house in the night to kill us.
What?
Yeah. They were harassing my wife. They were just there to harass her, put pressure on the wife. She's going to be quiet. She was 7 months pregnant. I have the audio. So I'm not telling you anything. I have the audio of that conversation and everything.
So she
I have the
had
pictures
to
of the car.
persuade you. So they're doing it so that she can persuade you to just stop.
There are families that live in a garage from living in a big house, have cars, because they were financially manipulated to sow into the ministry.
I've been through the most, been through the most.
Lochani Centtwinz TV, Gamalam Innocent. Oh, you're going to go to the Ndebele? Phela. Hola, Sanbanani Dumelang. Hello. Welcome. This is Centtwinz TV. I knew it from Dutch. This is Centtwinz TV. You are watching I've Been Through the Most podcast. Now, whether you're watching us on YouTube, listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, welcome.
We are
And
so
of course,
honored to have you.
Oh, yeah. And of course, we are on our different social media platforms. It's not going to be the same until you go and like, comment, and of course, share. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, we are there. All the promos and pictures are exclusively posted for you. It's X now, not Twitter. Oh, yeah, it's X now. Okay, so go and follow us on X. It is Centtwinz Productions. So we have another incredible guest here today. As you know, week in and week out, we have amazing guests who are brave enough to come and share their story, not to entertain you because they have nothing else to do. No, but we learn so much from these stories. We learn so much from these testimonies. And there's always a bigger purpose to this, you know. And we hope that you can be left inspired. You can learn something. You can take certain lessons. And this is why we love it when you interact. Tell us what you think about today's episode, about today's guests. All you need to do is to comment down below and we will interact back by hearting your comment to show that we see you. We have Mr. Solomon here with us today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for inviting me. Good to be here.
Yeah. Sure. I was just saying, while we're sitting, I'm like, he projects so well. Like, he sounds so amazing.
Got an accent.
He definitely has an accent. Definitely has an accent.
I'm out and out Nigerian, but I'm from the northern part of Nigeria.
Okay.
So a lot of people are not familiar with that part of Nigeria. So when they meet me and they're like, I know you don't speak like Nigerian. It's like, but Nigeria has this diversity.
Nigeria is huge.
Yeah, the diversity. I'm from up north.
Okay.
We get a lot of Muslims there. So I grew up in a very Muslim type. Part of my family is still Muslim.
Okay.
So our culture and a whole lot of stuff is different from what you see on Nigerian movies or Afrobeat and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so
Because that's all we know Nigeria to be, like what we've seen like on the screens. And now because social media is so huge, what you see on social media, which is predominantly, I think, Lagos and...
Lagos, the Igbos, the Yorubas, that kind of thing. But there are 3 major languages in Nigeria: Igbo, Yoruba, and Hausa. So I'm from the Hausa part, which is the north.
Okay.
Very conservative.
Okay. I love that. So, I mean, you've briefly started giving us your background, and that would be, our next question: where you grew up, any siblings, how you grew up, who were you as a young boy, what did you love to do? Can you just take us through your upbringing?
I grew up in a city called Jos in northern Nigeria. I'm from a family of 5 boys. 5 boys, first 5 boys, and the last one a girl. So I'm number 2. Christian family. I'm second generation Christian. So before my generation, my siblings, there was my grandmother and my father. They were Christians. And grew up in a very intense Christian home. Get up in the morning, you pray. At night before you go to bed, you pray as a family. If I go home now, my mother still does that. She will knock on my door, So you grew up with that kind of stuff. Church was very important. And as I grew up through high school, we call it secondary school, I began to love just news and communication and current affairs and sports also. So I thought about studying journalism. I was studying political science in university, but then I decided to quit and study journalism and communication. That was how I left Nigeria to study with a Christian university in Cape Town. It's an international university called University of the Nations. The main campus is in Kona in Hawaii. And then you have to study in 2 different continents for you to be able to graduate. You must study in 2 different continents.
Oh, for the exposure and experience. Okay.
Cross-cultural experiences. It was expensive, I must tell you. It took me a while to graduate, and I had to go to Sweden and Switzerland to also study there. And study communication, started a magazine. I love Africa, you know. I couldn't settle in Europe and all of that. So I came, let me settle in Johannesburg. And then I started a Christian magazine called Parable Magazine. It's a Christian lifestyle magazine, not so intense as Christianity, but just lifestyle, just to celebrate who we are as Christians, you know, from fashion, music, family, relationships. And then did quite a lot of Christian radio. I used to travel a lot globally, do Christian radio through sports, like been to a lot of soccer World Cups in Brazil, Beijing, China, Australia, and Melbourne for the Commonwealth Games.
So you're quite a curious person.
Yes, and all of that was from a Christian perspective, just to interview athletes and to cover the Christian story behind that.
You've been so blessed.
With that worldview, right?
Yes, you see the world a bit differently.
Absolutely. I love that. Let's now get into your story, because nobody sits on the hot seat without a story.
Yeah, when I was invited here, you know, and, you know, I've been through a lot. So let me just start with that. I've been through a lot, and a lot of it from the perspective of being a journalist who's Christian. And then observing the church and leaders in the church now becoming abusive with the influence and the power that they have. So that was what really triggered me. And I didn't know I was going to go through a lot because of that. You know, all I wanted was, no, this can't be. As Christian leaders, as church leaders, a pastor, a prophet, a bishop, you know, you must set a better example. One of the things I hate is just being a hypocrite. Yeah, I expect you, if you're doing something that's wrong, just say it. You know, it's easy as that. But when you continue to cover it, and then you're leading people, and then you're actually even trying to endorse it, there are other younger leaders who are looking up to you. There's a crowd, there's a congregation that is looking up to you. So whilst I was running Parable Magazine, the magazine that I told you started, a lot of people now started getting in touch with me. Hey, Solomon, this person you wrote about. Because Parable Magazine was just all about celebrating Christianity. So I was not that guy that wants to go and...
bad publicity.
No. It was totally positive.
Okay.
But then you write about an artist or you write about a pastor, and then like, hey, Solomon, this guy you wrote about, he's not who he claims to be. Then they'll give me their story, what happened with evidences, and they've been victims. Either been raped, sexually abused, spiritually manipulated. You were talking about marine spirits earlier on. How you get into covenanted into what you are not aware of.
Not what you signed up for.
You know, and then for me, the church is supposed to be a refuge for such people. But then now it has become like a place of abuse. And it hurts me. It hurts. So I get all these stories coming in. I started investigating. And
the journalist in you.
And before I knew it, I saw like, wow, there's actually a lot more.
There's more.
Some of the guys you see on TV, some of the guys you see on social media, they have big congregations, thousands. And you think, these guys are anointed, man of God. But behind the scene, not all of them. They are great pastors. They are great bishops. But behind the scene for some of them, it's a very messy, immoral life that they live.
Sure.
And they get that. They put other people into that sort of path. So in my course of investigation, I exposed quite a lot of stuff. You know, there's a Nigerian pastor who is in prison right now in Port Elizabeth, in Quebec. He's been there for 5 years, still awaiting trial. You know, now they're supposed to sentence him. And I was one of the first guys to know that. I knew the girls, little girls, where he used to house them and everything.
This is the pastor.
Pastor. And they will tell you he has a special room there. He will come and be there, and he will decide who he wants to come in. And then he'll do whatever he wants to do with them. And then you have situations where he will go and speak in some of his branches in Bloemfontein or Secunda. And whilst he's preaching, and then he's like, that one. And the thing is, he's musically gifted. He used to be a prominent, I think, keyboardist for a prominent Nigerian artist called Ebenezer Obey. So he's very gifted. He can compose. So he has these groups of girls. They call them Galaxy and all that. But all he was trying to do was using that to abuse the girls. You know, so, and when I investigate, I go all out. I put it on social media. When I started, nobody wanted to believe me. No, Solomon, you cannot
What
say
was
this.
it for? What was your primary mission? Was it to create awareness? You know, when you put it out there and you investigate the matter, what was
First
prompting you?
is to create awareness, like you said, and secondly is to actually let people know that, hey, this leader is not who he says he is.
Okay.
You know, just to give people a warning.
A warning, yeah.
You know, because for a lot of times I speak to these pastors privately. This is what I heard. So a lot of them were very dismissive, actually, from the beginning. In the beginning, a lot of them were dismissive. Like,
Well, obviously.
who do you think you are? I don't have money like you have. You know, you don't have money like I have. Who are you anyway? I'm going to squash you and finish you up. You know, so they don't really pay attention. So I was left with no option
Go that route.
but to put it out there. There are families that live in a garage, from living in a big house, have cars, because they were financially manipulated to sow into the ministry. There were women that are into alcohol abuse now, because as a young girl in church, it was abused. Matter of fact, there's a girl in Ulundi, in KZN, who actually came to me because she was abused by this pastor, who was a spiritual father. And she didn't know, because she went to church. He said, no, I'll drop you home. No, let me just pass through my house and just get some money. I need to get petrol. And they went through his place, gave her a drink to drink. She was blacked out. Next thing she woke up, he was on top of her. You know, she was shocked. She because she respected him. She left. A couple of months later, she came back and told him, look, I'm pregnant. You know, I remember what she said. She wanted to tell him, so they drove to like a bridge and just found a place there, quiet, and she told him. And he was like, no, just put it on one of the boys in the church.
Hey, bo.
Yeah. And then, guess what? He raped her again there.
To add on to the trauma.
To add on to it. And she came and she told me we had to follow that up, get a lawyer and all that kind of stuff. He's 13 years now.
Also, justice was served.
Justice was served. But he denied everything in court. But then the story that she told the attorney, where they went and how they went, they stopped at a garage, he bought some stuff, and then they
could get evidence.
Then there was a CCTV video. Because he said, no, I don't know her. So he denied everything, like, totally. You know? So in the midst of that, I have had people come in and just saying, look, hey, thanks for that information. We never knew about it. When I started this whole activism, there was a lot of people that, I got a lot of abuse that you can think of. I got attacked.
Maybe.
Death threats.
At this point, I'm like, if you say these people are high profile, you dare do something like that, try to put them out there and expose them, obviously they're going to come after you, right? And for you, you know, was it worth the risk? And what did you have to endure?
Was it worth the risk? Very much. I remember one evening I was driving, because now when I drive, I have to look around. You know, you
That's
sort of
your
like,
life now. You like,
who's coming around me? And I remember the conversation I had with God. God said, Solomon, are you ready to die for the truth?
Yeah.
You know, when you're in church, you can think about it, you can pray about it, die for Jesus.
Yay.
But then now you are faced with the reality of very powerful people who could come and take you out. So now it hits you like, this is really serious. It's totally different. And that was when I made the decision that I was ready to die for the truth. So everything I did afterwards was more like, what's the words? Kill me? I had to prepare my wife. I had to sit down with my wife and say, look, hey, I know you can take care of the kids. I have 2 boys. Whatever happens, you know, this is what's going to be it. But then, was it worth it? It was worth it. Because for me, it's about the truth. It's not about the man of God. Yes. I'm not interested in exposing you. Yes. No.
It's about stopping the cycle.
It's about, this is what Scripture says. You know, and Scripture expects us to judge the church. The Bible says in Corinthians, we must judge those who are in the church first. I have no right to judge somebody who is an atheist or who is a Buddhist.
Yes.
Because they don't subscribe from the same Scripture. So why is it a big deal when I ask you questions? Hey, this is what this lady told me, this person told me. You know, it got to a point where there was an evening, I'd had a running battle with a guy called Alf Lukau, who obviously people know him. He had this resurrection thing that an ambulance came into his church with a coffin.
Oh, yes. The
about
man
3
that was
years ago.
resurrected.
Yes.
And had a 7-color meal.
Yes. So there's a lot of people that came from his church, women and men, that told me a whole lot about him. And I put it out there. He went to court to shut me up. Court says, no, you cannot defame him. So I now, okay, I'm not going to defame him, but that should not stop me from talking about him. Because the whole thing is they want to put fear in you.
Okay.
So if you shut up, we're good. If you don't say anything about me, we're good.
Like, just stop.
And you know, because of that, his people came to my church, to my house in the night to kill us.
What?
Yeah. I have all of that evidences.
Okay, but let's go back a little bit.
Sure.
So this started because of that scenario where the man was, raised from the dead and so forth and so forth.
That was before the actually the resurrection.
Really?
Okay.
It was
Yes.
before?
It was 2017.
So you and him started this before?
Like way before.
Okay.
I was just telling people, hey, this guy is a charlatan. He's not who he claims to be. And I got a lot of stick for that because people didn't understand, because obviously he has a nice church in Santon, he's on TV and all that.
Got the numbers.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing. But when that resurrection thing happened, people were like, hey, but Solomon have been talking about this for a while now, But before that resurrection thing, he took me to court. He said I should shut up and all that. He had his birthday. And he also had he said somebody gave him a Rolls Royce, somebody gave him some money and all of that, penthouse suit in Santon. So but as a man of God, that shouldn't be. So he took me back to court.
Again.
Were you that hectic
We've been
on him?
in court. I spent almost $1 million
What?
fighting false prophets.
With legal fees?
Almost $1 million. He took me to court and I was sentenced to about a month in prison. I got a suspended sentence.
So what's
the
the
charge?
sentence? Yeah.
The charge was, they said I shouldn't defame him. But he was like, no.
Oh, defamation of character.
Defamation of character. No, that was the first one.
Okay.
So now if you go against that, then it becomes contempt of court.
Okay.
So now there is contempt. So now I have to go straight to prison.
If you continue.
No. Now, the second time, he had told somebody that, no, Solomon is going to go to prison. I think he knew that I was never going to be quiet about it.
Yes.
So this one is not stopping.
So one of his bodyguards, if you go watch his videos of his photos, there's a guy who is always like in the military uniform around him. It's called Wiseman. He called my wife. My wife was 7 months pregnant with our second child. He now deceived her to come to Santon police station in Morningside. And she said no. So he called like he's a police guy.
Oh.
And he went there. Lucky enough, I was there. So we went. And he was there with a policeman and another person. They were harassing my wife. They were just there to harass her, put pressure on the wife. She's going to be quiet. She was 7 months pregnant. I have the audio. So I'm not telling you anything. I have the audio of that conversation and everything.
So
I have the pictures of the car.
you. So they're doing it so that she can persuade you to just stop.
They know that put pressure on the wife. She's going to put pressure on him.
And I mean, right, when you have a pregnant wife, you're just like, this is my family.
Yeah, the thing is,
don't touch my family.
So we have 2 kids, and she said, no, I'm never going to get pregnant again because the first time when she was pregnant, we had some issues with TV Joshua. And then the second time, then we had this issue. She's like, no, I'm not going to get pregnant again.
You're putting me at risk.
But the thing is, we had to, at a point I had to move her from the house. We had to move house. They threatened me, they threatened her, they did everything. They called me names, and they fabricated news and stories about me and all of that. But I couldn't be quiet. Back to it again, because it was about the truth. But I didn't know the truth was I'm gonna experience a lot like this. Because of standing for the truth. And I went to prison. I wore the prison uniform. Like, I remember going to prison. I used to go do prison ministry in the same prison. And then now I'm in prison, Johannesburg prison. And like, you're in the same You're in the same place with people who are serial rapists.
Yes, I wanted to
gangsters,
say, who committed serious crimes. I mean,
Exactly. And all you have to do is more like, wow, I'd never seen drugs in my life. But then the guy next to me, they're just doing their drugs. When you see somebody drawing the blood and giving it to somebody else to pump it in their addicts, So you see all of that. In the midst of that, obviously, I started these morning prayers and all of that kind of stuff. So everybody, pastor. And they started coming to me to confide their sins. So you get to know quite a lot.
Ministry, I'm here. Let's go. Let's do this.
But prison was, I didn't know I was going to go through a lot.
Okay.
As such, But the good thing is, whilst I was in prison, some of the prison wardens knew me and what I do. They knew me from TV and all that kind of stuff.
So you said, how long were you there for?
I was there for 3 weeks.
And I'm sure 3 weeks felt like 3 years. A long time.
Especially the food. Especially it was a very, very long time, because you get locked up for like almost 20 hours a day.
A day, yeah.
You're in a cell, overcrowded. About 40 people. You're using the same toilet, the same bathroom.
This is not like
and
a hotel.
I didn't want to compromise. I could get any food from outside. Prison is a different ball game there. You can get anything you want. You can get cell phone. There are guys that I know, they have cell phones.
Like, for example,
you can get KFC.
It's like drugs are not allowed, but there were people in your cell who are using drugs,
yes,
for example.
Yes.
So phones aren't allowed, but they're phones.
Prison is a very lucrative ground for drug dealing. Yeah, it's a very lucrative ground for drug dealing. So there's a gang that controls that. And you cannot just come and obviously they have money, so they pay the wardens. They pay everybody. They know how to get it in.
It's run by money.
And you need that to keep it going. So I didn't know I was going to go through that much. I didn't know I was going to face a lot of abuse. I didn't know I was going to have to use a lot of money, to survive. To my legal costs. Quite a lot of people helped, like on my YouTube channel and all of that kind of stuff. I had to pay about 350,000 to Alf Lukau.
Why?
Because I lost the case.
He sued you. Oh.
Yeah. So it was with cost. I have to go to prison, but then with cost.
Oh, I see. Okay. So it was part of the whole settlement thing. You go to prison and you pay me out.
Yes. And for me, people are like, you mean you have to give him this amount of money? For me, it's not really about the money, you see. It's about the truth. I could give him $1 million. But as long as people now, some of them 5 years, 6 years later, they're inboxing me, Solomon, I want to apologize. I was one of those people who never believed you, who used to curse you, and some of them in their churches, they used to pray for me to die. And they were telling me all of that.
Yeah, because he's dealing with really prominent people. Can you imagine? He's dealing with a flock of people, and they will come for you if you come for their leader.
It's not just the man.
So it's not just the man.
The followers, the congregation, everybody.
Some of them are sent by the man, and some of them is just the congregation of. It's just, something about loyalty, especially blind loyalty. It's, you can do anything.
Yeah.
But then I look at them, and I felt so much compassion. Wow. Because I don't take things personal. I deal with the issue. The issue is not this person.
Listen,
the issue
you don't take things personal until you are in prison. Then you're like, you.
But you not believe it. I went to prison because of Alf Lukao, but I pray for him.
Wow.
I pray for him. Because you have to separate the issue from the person. Jesus called us to love our enemies.
Sure.
So we need to, whatever you're going to do to me, I need to be able to say, it's about what you did, not about you. It's about the action. It's not about the person.
Yes,
God created the person, loves the person, in spite of their sin.
Yes, but doesn't like their action.
Doesn't like their action.
Rebuke their action, but you love the person.
Exactly. And all I'm trying to do is to say, no, your actions are wrong. That's all I'm trying to do.
But did you feel like it was your place to call him out to say, but your action is wrong?
As a journalist, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people.
It's part of your job. It's part of what you do. Yeah.
And I think a lot of Christians sort of like mix being a journalist. Yeah, some people say, no, Solomon, just leave it for God to deal with it. So how do you want God to deal with it? or like, it's not your place to do that. Or it's a man of God, touch not the anointed, do his prophet no harm. And all of those indoctrination that we've been given out of context in scripture.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? And I'm a nobody, right? I'm just like trying to follow scripture just like every other person. Yes. But then you see things that are... Journalists and media people, they have a lot of mandate. It's about the truth. Matter of fact, journalism was started, it was a Christian idea. The genesis of journalism was a Christian. The first newspaper was established by Christians.
So interesting.
So it's about the truth. But we've been brainwashed by these charlatans and false prophets to be quiet, to not question him or her. We lack accountability.
Maybe
accountability has become a big...
that it's one specific person. That's why, for me, it's not just one person. Like, you have a history of different prophets. So it's not an attack on one person, or it's not a personal thing on one person. It's anybody who doesn't take accountability or maybe use their leadership in the right. It's anyone that that comes out from something that's right, and you just call them out when they're doing something wrong. It's a situation like that.
Yes.
It's not a personal attack to one specific one.
And I don't go around sniffing around, like looking for stories. No.
I'm sure people call you all the time.
Every week.
I can't even imagine.
Every week. A matter of fact, I was dealing with one yesterday. Every week, Solomon, this is what I've been through. Wow.
I'm sure you don't get shocked
you need to
at
see
any
evidences.
Story now.
You need to see evidences. Are there audios, videos, whatever? How do you want to, do I need to follow up? And
evidence.
You need to collect the evidence, because there are two sides to the story.
Yes.
So you're not just going to jump on one side. And sometimes you don't get sufficient evidence, but you know that this thing actually happened. So it's a case of just saying, look, we need to clean the house. We need to follow the church.
Clean the house.
We need to look at the church the way God sees the church.
Ooh.
Am I a testament? Am I a living testimony to who God say I should be? In private and in public. Right? That is are we going to hold each other accountable? One of the things that Christians right now we do not like is accountability. Accountability is to say, look, I was wrong here. Yeah. I did this here. And I take responsibility for it. Yeah. I don't defend it. I don't defend it. It's sin.
Powerful.
I tell people, if I've been married 12 years now, and if I go with another woman and commit adultery, I'll be the first to tell my wife before she hears it from anywhere. Because my conviction would never, I don't see
Allow
how.
you.
So that's why I'm very afraid to actually step out of my covenant in my marriage. I'm so scared of it.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know how to flirt with a woman right now. Because you don't want to start something that you just know you're going out of boundaries from what God. You made a covenant. You're committed.
Honor it.
Yeah. I know people make mistakes and all that, and you're always going to get the opportunity to come back and do things right and all that. You're not me. You're not Solomon. So everybody is different.
Absolutely. I love that.
Before I got married, I was celibate for like 15 years.
Sure. Wow.
And then, so probably in the last 25 years or so, the only woman I knew is my wife. So you get this kind of...
Especially if you're going to call out people, you better check yourself.
You know
what I'm saying?
Are you the pastor's wife? Are you the one?
No,
who's pastor's wife?
no.
Okay.
I'm just shocked. I'm just like...
You said something very profound. You see, if your private life is not saturated with righteousness,
Sure.
I would not even get the authority
Yes.
to call out these people. I would not get the authority to do that.
Even the audacity.
No, the courage. So people ask, how, but you're this little guy. I thought it was like some big guy. Where do you get that courage from?
Yeah.
But it's about your private life. You're doing you make mistakes, but you're not intentionally living a sinful life.
That's your conviction, actually.
And that's what, for me, that's what truth is about. That's what God is calling each and every one of us to. How do we do our best every single day to follow that? So my wife and myself, our kids, we've been through a lot.
Yeah.
We had situations where a bishop in the East Rand here in Joburg, some other girl that he was doing stuff with, someone who is like over 70, doing stuff with, and even created a brothel so she could lead and brought in some girls, and he was coming in.
An entire brothel.
Yeah, and he's a prominent bishop, well respected if you meet him, and when the way he talks to you.
He's like that man of God stature.
No.
They walk, they talk,
You
everything.
call him daddy.
You see these daddies and papas? Come on now.
I was like, look, hey, you need to make this right. Got himself involved and all that. So his kids have money. They decided, no. They're going to take me on. Brought in lawyers. Guess what? They hired a private investigator. One of the most prominent private investigator in this country. And he digged, he couldn't get anything. So it was about me. He said, no.
So they can use it against you. Yes, because now, they were like, okay, let's be, a step ahead of you and see and bring you down.
Yeah. Say, no, if we get Solomon down, the girl is going to be quiet because she would have no place to go to.
Yes.
Do you know they couldn't get
anything? And she doesn't have the platform like
no,
you
they
do.
don't. They had to fabricate stories. In Nigeria, I was a criminal. I committed fraud and all that. But there's no evidence. You just created the story. And guess what? They now put these stories in an envelope and they send it to my wife's office, to the board of directors. My wife has nothing to do with it.
In a professional space.
My wife is a CA.
You don't even work there
at all.
It's your wife that works there, but now this is her husband's issues coming to a professional space.
No, but remember, because they know what they're trying to do.
It's the same strategy.
So that if she's the only one, Sissy, that can put a stop
like,
to
babe, stop.
Yeah.
Like, darling, stop. Can you just enough?
They took. And that's exactly what the investigator told me. Solomon, just leave this girl and we're good. And I have all the... No, I couldn't.
He's a truth guy. Listen, at this point...
But it was very sad because I know this bishop personally. I know his wife, I know his kids, I know his grandkids, matter of fact.
And you know that complicates things so much. You know, when you know someone and your heart sings for them, right?
Yeah.
Your heart is painful for them and for his family, and you know what that can potentially do. But at the same time, I'm sure you still respect him.
There's still
that
do.
honor. You know, sometimes even it's like you feel sad because you're like, you actually have a real calling.
You know, that's right.
But I'm so
a good guy.
Yeah.
I'm sad.
It's almost like
what are
you're over
doing?
70, just finish strong.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you almost there.
just finish strong. You're almost there. Just hang in there.
Yes.
You know, you've mentored other younger leaders and younger pastors over the years. Don't throw away your testimony like this. You know, you're far more than. When I was talking to him, tears almost came to my eye when I had to tell him that. So I'm that guy that whoever you are, if I hear something that you did
not judgmental.
wrong, I would talk to you about it.
Mm.
And I expect you to do the same thing to me. Because for me, accountability. If you look at Jesus and the disciples, there's a huge sense of accountability there. Paul and Silas, Paul and Timothy. But that is one of the strengths of the church.
Sure.
Not just us going to church and shouting hallelujah, you know, but this bishop and his church, they paid this private investigator over 200,000 rand. And he created these fictional stories. Like, I even told him, I could actually do a better job than you in this.
Like you wasted money.
Well, you got paid like real money. All because you want to silence the truth.
And
how far can you go? It didn't work. So you get all of that and so many other things, you know, people not wanting to relate to you anymore, pastors disconnecting with you because they didn't understand. I mean,
I'm sure they didn't want you in their churches because, like,
no.
Solomon is about to investigate me.
They didn't want me on some certain TV stations. They wrote they had to take me up the TV stations and a whole lot of stuff, you know. And then you lose a lot of relationships.
Yes.
Which for me, I'm a very relational person. And then
they don't
lose
want the association.
Yeah, they don't want that association.
And I think even the ones that aren't doing anything wrong, they would automatically assume that you're looking to find something. So they would de-associate. It's okay, no, just stay there.
Yeah.
Okay, you're a child of God, I'm a child of God, just stay there. Because the next thing you find something, you know.
They'll think you're coming there to snoop. You know, there are so many pastors that will, right now it has gotten to a place where some pastors will call me and say, hey, Solomon, I just messed up. It's like, why are you telling me this now?
Like, just in case you find it,
you know,
just know.
So there's a sense of accountability. They realize that actually Solomon is not just looking for a story to put it out there. And I follow them. And there is a lot that I know about some pastors that I can never put out there.
Sure.
Because I know they are doing their best every day. To come out of it. It's a stronghold in their lives. They and it's not easy to come out of sexual sin. It's not easy to come out of, you know, financial corruption. It's not easy to do that. And some people can overcome it in 2 years, and some people it takes a longer period.
And the higher
you have to give them the
bigger
grace.
You are, the harder it is.
Yes.
It doesn't get easier when you are up there. It actually gets harder and more complicated. Yeah, with power comes a lot of responsibilities and a lot of challenges. You know, it's like when people say the more money you have, the more problems you have. It becomes that you know, now you have 5,000 congregants or 100,000 now. You know, the money that you're making in church is millions, and then you start becoming corrupt and you start manipulating because your lifestyle is changing and so forth. And if you don't have like a very strong foundation and people around you who will remind you of, listen, you are called. Why are you now going this route? Unfortunately, you're going to go down that route, you know. So you suffered in the hands of...
It was an experience. You know, when I look back now, it's like, me, Solomon, I would not make that choice to go through what I've been through. But then it's much more than me.
Yeah.
I devoted my life when I gave my life to Christ, saying you can do whatever you wanted. It wasn't a choice. I actually started doing that by accident. It wasn't a choice, you know. And then you more and more hear people coming to you. This is what happened. This is what I've been through. This is wow, this pastor, this bishop, this is why they did to me, from all across, you know, the place. You know, we had a situation with Bushiri. When Bushiri left this country, I was the first. Actually, it was around 7 p.m. that night. I put it and like, look, what if I tell you that Bushiri just left this country?
So where do you post? Where do people see this
on
juicy tea?
on my.
It's so funny when you got here. I'm like, do you have some tea for us? And it's like, maybe I'll give you coffee, because I'm like, so where do you get all this?
I really have some tea.
Sure.
You know, about some pastor who is he's white. He has big churches. You know, in Pretoria and Johannesburg. You're not gonna know what's happening there now.
Sure.
That one is gonna come out and it's gonna blow a lot of people up.
So where do you post? Tell our viewers. I mean,
I post on my Facebook page, Solomon Izang Ashoms, and I also post. I do my videos
with the Solomon.
You know, I do my videos, which is Solomon's Temple. That's my Uncle Solomon. That's my my YouTube channel. So I do quite a lot of that there.
Okay.
You know, you know, there's a pastor that sued me about 3 years ago. So they was during COVID. They had so many people in church, and the members became concerned.
Okay.
It was supposed to be 100, but they're having 1,000.
Oh, I
so
see.
they came to me
following the regulations.
Yes.
And okay.
So I now send them an email. Look, this is what people are saying and all. I said, I know. You know, come to our church. So they decided to invite me to their church in Pretoria. So I went there. It's a big white church. You know, I went there, and now they were like, I got there, and the meeting, there was an advocate, there was a head of HR. It's like, you guys didn't prepare me for this.
Like,
I only have two simple questions. How many people were there last Sunday?
Just answer the question.
I mean, you know, we count people every Sunday in church, isn't it? So you know, it's a simple question.
So they turned it into a whole.
They turned it into, and from the beginning, I just told them I'm going to record this conversation.
Because I don't have legal representation here. You guys didn't prepare me.
So I switched on my phone and started recording. Here's my question. They kept going, you know, the government don't like the church is being persecuted. After 15 minutes, I'll come back there and it's like, how many people you had in church last week? And then she would go on and on and on. Some Afrikaans lady who is the PA, the executive, whatever they call it now. And they keep going. And it got to a place where she disrespected me. Where she said certain things that I was like, no, you wouldn't disrespect me.
Yeah.
I drove from Joburg to Pretoria. You invited me.
Yes.
And I came. Do you think I'm doing this for fun? Do you think this is not a calling? Because you are a church. I'm a Christian too. You know, so to cut the long story short, we now finished, and she had to apologize because I said, if you don't apologize, I'm going to walk out of this meeting.
Then it's like it's a wrap.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to write about it.
Then I have stuff to talk.
And I was recording you.
So as soon as I left, right there in the church premises, I made a video. You know, I was like, look, guys, I came to ask these guys some few simple questions. They never answered. And then this is the state of things. So it went straight on Facebook and all of that kind of, I've never gotten white people coming to attack me like that. Even the pastor's son, he came and then was hammering me. I was like, what is going on? A lot of my Afrikaner brothers and sisters, they were coming and just attacking me. And then they took certain things that I said there and sued me.
On the video?
Yes, for 4 million. They sued me for 4 million. We dragged that case for 2 years. We're about to go to trials. And during that period, they were about to sue me. They sent two pastors, two prominent pastors. One of them I had breakfast with in 4 ways to talk me into just chill. I was disappointed because I respect these pastors. Matter of fact, one of them was from a threatening way, saying, Solomon, you know these guys, they have money, they will clean you up. I was like, Pastor, are you saying that? But this guy didn't do what was right.
Yes.
Now you're coming to me. The other one is like, no, you know, Solomon, we can make arrange. I lost respect for him. He has a church in Kempton Park.
But also to understand from where they're coming from, right? So your resilience to this is because it's your calling. like you can handle it.
Mm.
You can. But with other people from a place of wanting to protect you, they just like walk away. Because you see how they all walk away. It doesn't matter. Like the moment people are prominent, they have a following, they have the fame, they have the money.
People get scared.
People, you know.
Yeah,
So now
I get you.
Here is, you know, Uncle Solomon in his element, you know. and they just it's okay, just leave it. At least you expose them. At least that video went viral, you know. And you like, nope, it's not
what
enough.
happened with the case now? Where's the case?
So the case went on for 2 years. We're dragging it. And then we were about to go on trial. And then all of a sudden, January last year, they now sent a message to my attorney. Matter of fact, I ran out of money and my attorney became pro bono. There's a guy who called me, hey, Solomon, I see what you're going through. I want to help you.
Wow.
And they were like, no, we want to withdraw the case.
Sure. Wow.
It's like, okay, you dragged me for 2 years? Do you know what?
I mean, weren't you happy that they're dropping the case?
Do you know what legal?
Aren't you saying,
do you know what
okay,
legal
fine,
fights
thanks.
does to you?
Yeah, emotionally.
It could emotionally,
can destroy
mentally.
you. But wasn't that a moment of celebration for you? That's okay. At least I don't have to pay you.
I knew it was gonna come. I was ready to go for trial.
You're a fighter.
Right? Because because it's
a fighter. I need
because
to talk to your wife.
It's like, you know,
do you want to have some coffee? Because
because it's like there, and I would have actually fought them and said, no, you cannot withdraw it. I would have insisted and said, no, you're gonna pay me for actually dragging me. But you see, I'm not into that.
That's not the kind of win that you're looking for.
I'm not gonna drag you like that. That's not the whole idea of the whole thing. They dragged me, and the same pastor of that church left his wife with a mistress now. His wife banished totally, removed her picture from anything to do with the church. They started this church together about 30 years ago.
It's non-existent now.
Now he's just gallivanting. Her family is aware of it. His family, matter of fact, I got a call from his family members after they saw my video. So you see, when his family members are calling me to tell me stuff about him.
Like actually, that man.
And when I'm saying family members, I mean family
close.
Like you guys. I was like,
because
so
even they
why
can't
are you telling
do
me
that.
Exactly. Like, why are you telling me all these things? You know, I'm gonna put it out there. You know, but I'm just so sad because that scandal is gonna come out soon. He's a very prominent pastor.
Trusted.
Like, you see him on TV. He's a voice that people follow. A lot of people are gonna be broken.
So
a lot of people are gonna be disappointed.
So that means that the lawsuits are not done. You still gonna get sued. Like, you're not stopping anytime.
You see, over the years, I've learned.
It's not even a thing. I'm sure getting sued is not a thing anymore to you. Just like,
no.
anything.
Now
it's part of like a daily.
You get Bushiri has sued me, Zondo, Mboro, and all of these guys. Matter of fact, some of them are prophets outside the country, but they come here to sue me. You know, because I've said stuff about them.
Yeah.
You know, but back to it again. Are you ready to die for the truth? And if there's anything I think part of this conversation should be is, are you ready to die for the truth? Christianity, you're going to suffer. This brand of Christianity they sell to us, everything is going to be good and all that. Not now. There's going to be pain. There's going to be hurt. You're going to suffer. You have to put your life down. That's the only way we're going to make a difference. We cannot read, you know, the Gospels of the epistles by Paul in the Bible, Galatia, you know, the church in Philippi, the church in Colossae, you know, the church in Thessalonica. Yeah. They were vibrant because they were like, hey, it's either this or we die. That's why they are known. That's why we read about them. And until we get there, not just me as a journalist, I'm just doing a little small guy doing my stuff in the corner. You can imagine if the church, I love the church.
Yeah, can you imagine the impact of one?
I love, people say, Solomon, you hate the church and you this. And
like, I don't want to be a pastor.
You don't know how I love the church.
Like, you have to be right. Okay.
I grew up I love the church so much. She's like a bride that I need to protect. That's why I do what I do.
Ooh.
But over the years, you get people misunderstanding that. And then they come close to you. It's like, actually, this guy is not really who I think he is. But my desire and my prayer is there's going to be more and more people that will stand for truth, whether you are a lawyer, an accountant, a pastor, a business person, a politician.
Come on.
Not
God will
just
always
pastors.
raise people.
And that way we can be a salt and a light.
Yeah.
To the
And that way people are like, wow, there's something different about this one.
Ooh.
Sure.
Why are they different?
Wow. Yeah, I think that's a great way to end it. Wow, you just summed it
Wow.
up. You just summed it up.
Sure.
Uncle Sol was like, can I not be the only one? Can we stand for the truth together?
He's like an entire army. He's all by himself, but he's like an entire army. I mean, that was so amazing. That was so brilliant.
He's so brave.
It's so refreshing, actually, to hear that, Like, for me, I'm like, what we're doing is not a joke. Like, this Christian lifestyle, Christianity, being Christ-like, being offsprings of the Creator, this is real. It's not fiction. It's not a game. This is real. And he's bringing that into light to, like, wake up. Let the church wake up and let the truth set us free.
And I'm sure we're going to get mixed reaction as well, because every time something like this happens, I'm sure you're used to it. There's always going to be people on the fence and people who agree and people who don't agree. Obviously, because of the people you've interacted with, the people you've spoken about, the people you've written about.
Following,
Absolutely. Hence, I'm saying you're dealing with high-profile people who have a following, have the fame, have the money. So obviously, when you're watching, you're going to watch from your perspective and so forth. But I hope that you receive the story for what it is. And because I could feel, the genuine care.
Very authentic.
And love that you have for, for the body of Christ and to really fix it, instead of feeling an anger or a spirit of destroying people, if I guess, That's my opinion. I'm saying this is what I felt.
And not even for self-gratification. I think for me, he's so selfless. It's not even like for you, like, I'm gaining this and I'm putting... No, that's what we feel.
If you have kids and a wife and you still going out there, I'm like, okay, all right. I hope that you've enjoyed the episode, because I know we have.
Definitely.
So we're so honored and grateful that you made time to come and tell your
Thank
story.
you. Thank you for inviting me.
Hopefully you come back, because wow, hey,
come
God
and finish
uses
what
you.
you've started.
No, this is what God uses you. You will never run out. You'll never run out. We're gonna follow you and check out your work, and really your ministry, because it's I guess it's
really
way
is a
more than work.
ministry.
It's really your ministry. So I'm gonna go, viewers. Please, we're gonna put the link to where you posted everything on the description box. So go and check him out and follow and comment. But we've come to the end of the show from our awesome crew, myself, Millicent,
And myself, Innocent.
and of course, Uncle Solomon.
Thank you, guys.
It's bye for now.
I've been through the most, been through the most. I've been through the most, through the most. I've been through the most, through the most.